And I think we're on. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Quý vị khỏe không? If you're watching from the United States, let me see a 1 in the comments. If you're watching from Vietnam, good morning, Vietnam. Let me see a 2. Canada's 3. Australia's 4. So let's see where you're watching from. It is Thursday, and we have a special guest on the show today. Okay, special guest on the show today. Hôm nay đó, Lina có một người guest cũng là sang Mỹ hồi lúc nhỏ nha. And he's become very successful, and he's really giving back to the community, which I love. And then we also have a very special event that's taking place in April, and that's why he's here today. So he's going to talk about that. So let's see who's everyone watching right now. Okie dokie, everybody. Turn the music down. I'm going to turn the music down. Hôm nay, cái chương trình hôm nay sẽ special một chút là because I have this guest. And let me tell you a little bit about him. So he was born in Vietnam. Okay, he's younger than me, 1973. And then he came to America in the early 80s, during a period of which, okay, now the whole world knows about boat people. So he was one in the waves of boat people who came to the United States. And bây giờ he rất là successful. He là một người bác sĩ trong cái emergency room. And he's doing a lot more. And we are going to be doing something together. And I'm really happy to be a part of this. And so he's going to join us now to talk more about what this is. So ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Dr. Pha Lê. Oh, wow, you brought your own audience.
Hello, Lena. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very good. So, as you may know, on Thursdays, we normally learn English, okay, for all the bad habits that Vietnamese have. Nhưng mà hôm nay, maybe you and I will probably be speaking, họ kêu là nửa nạc nửa mỡ đó. So maybe a little bit in English and a little bit in Vietnamese. And so anyway, let's talk about, first of all, I want you to talk about yourself so that our audience gets to know who you are, how you came here, what you're doing. And you came here in 1983. Okay. So tell me about your family.
Yeah, so thank you for this opportunity to address your audience. Again, I'm Dr. Pha Lê. I was born in Vĩnh Long in 1973. And my father was a lieutenant commander in the South Vietnamese Navy at the time. At the end of the war, he was imprisoned in North Vietnam until 1980. And when he was released, we escaped from Vietnam on a boat and got to Indonesia. We stayed there for a year and settled in the U.S. in 1983, November of 83. So this picture is us actually at the refugee camp. Oh. My mother was a tailor and my father was a teacher at the camp. Unfortunately, the escape did not include my 2 little brothers. And so they were left behind. And this is a picture they sent us a few years after we left them. Growing up in the U.S. In those initial years were very difficult, but with the culture and my parents' continued support and love, I thrived and got into UCLA for undergraduate education and eventually made it to medical school. I am now an emergency medicine physician. In my spare time, I give back through the community in various activities. The first one being an organization that supports older veterans by taking them to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, for a tour of honor. That led me to become a board of directors member for the USS Midway Museum in San Diego. I also lead 2 medical clinics that serve the homeless, as you see in this picture of my team. We continue to support our veterans. I continue to serve. This is one of our World War II veterans with my entire family, and we continue to do all this work because we're passionate about it. I actually partnered up with the Magic Johnson Foundation to perform a health clinic in Los Angeles as well. And this is the largest team I assembled. It included other partners as well. This is me with the Secretary of the Navy because of the service that we perform for the veterans. So he came out to greet us with our veterans. This is my other team of volunteers in my second medical clinic for the homeless. So one of the things that brought us together, Lena, is this upcoming event in April to commemorate 50 years since Vietnamese Americans have arrived here in the United States. I am the chair of the event, and we have partnered up with the Vietnamese Heritage Museum in Garden Grove to put this event together.
I see. So it's taking place in San Diego.
Yes, and the San Diego is not the epicenter of where most Vietnamese Americans are in Southern California. So we are putting together fundraisers in order to raise money so we can hire buses to bring the Vietnamese Americans from Orange County, where most of them live, down to San Diego for this very event.
Oh, nice. Okay. And in fact, I know that one of the, and this is like before you even told me about this, someone had already invited me to this dinner that is taking place on the 21st of March. So what can you tell me about the dinner?
The dinner is mainly to fundraise so that we can hire the buses and buy the food for our community that will be attending this event. It will be filled with performers and speeches by our community leaders and a good meal.
Okay. So you've been speaking all English. So do you speak any Vietnamese? Do you speak Vietnamese?
Yes,
You do?
I do speak Vietnamese. Mình nói được nhưng mà có lúc không có lưu loát lắm.
Okay. Wow, but that's impressive. Như vậy là khi mà mình qua Mỹ là how old were you?
Mình qua Mỹ hồi lúc đó là 10 tuổi rưỡi, 11 tuổi.
Oh, gần 11 tuổi rồi. Oh, okay. Okay. And then nhưng mà khi mà mình qua Mỹ mà mình ở Virginia hồi đó, bây giờ thì Virginia rất là đông người Việt ha. Nhưng mà hồi đó chắc không có nhiều người phải không?
Rất là ít. Rất là ít rồi khi mà mình di cư qua bên Washington State rồi xuống Pasadena nữa thì vẫn cũng rất là ít người Việt. And I almost lost my language. I started developing an accent. Nên mẹ bắt mình phải mỗi ngày phải đọc tờ báo đó khoảng 30 phút vậy đó để mình giữ cái tiếng Việt của mình.
Okay. And then sau này như vậy là vợ mình người Việt hay là người gì? Hồi nãy thấy người Á Đông.
Yeah, tình cờ đó là người Việt.
Okay, that's good.
Gặp
Cùng
nhau
họ
ở
luôn.
đại học.
Như vậy là hai người gặp nhau ở khi mà đi học phải không?
Đúng, ở UCLA.
And then how's her Vietnamese? She qua đây lâu chưa?
No, she was born here, but she's actually more fluent than me.
Oh, okay, như vậy là sinh ở đây nhưng mà tiếng Việt thì rành hơn.
Đúng.
Quá giỏi luôn, quá giỏi luôn. Và bây giờ mấy đứa con rồi?
2 đứa con.
Okay, and I think boys, right? Did I see both boys? Okay. Rồi bây giờ mình trở lại công việc ha, là cái event trong tháng 4 đó. So this is April 27th, right? And I'm going to put this back up so people, whoops, where did you go? Hold on. There you go. Một bên tiếng Anh, một bên tiếng Việt quý vị nè. Như vậy là ngày 27 tháng 4 từ 10 giờ sáng đến 3 giờ chiều luôn. And then dĩ nhiên có rất là nhiều người Việt ở quận Cam. Right? They want to attend. Nhưng mà cái này là San Diego, lái xe cũng trời ơi, nếu mà lái xe từ từ Orange County then what about an hour maybe?
A little bit over an hour.
A little bit over an hour.
Yeah.
Okay. Nhưng mà nhiều cô chú, mấy bác có thể là lớn tuổi không có lái xe được. Right? Nên sẽ có một buổi gây quỹ để có những cái funds để mình có thể là mình mướn mấy cái xe bus để chở mấy cô chú xuống so that they can attend, because thực sự nếu mà không có mấy cô chú thì then the event, no, it doesn't mean as much là tại vì this takes a look back. Quý vị biết không, vì mới đó mà 50 năm rồi. Can you believe it? It has gone by like this. And so this is really important. Now, when you contacted me about this, you were talking about some of what you have planned for this day. And I loved what I heard, which is why I said, yes, I would love to be a part of this. So can you tell our audience some of the things that you have planned for that day?
Yes. To start the day, we will have a chương trình văn nghệ for about an hour, minimal speeches for that hour. And at 11 o'clock, we will start the beginning of the official program. Now, the reason why we're having it on the Midway is because the Midway, every 5 years or so, celebrates Operation Frequent Wind. And during this operation, the armed forces of South Vietnam, as well as America, evacuated over 5,000 Vietnamese refugees straight from Saigon. And so the USS Midway was an aircraft carrier, one of 16 ships that were stationed off the coast of Vietnam. The USS Midway actually received more than 3,000 of those refugees.
Wow.
So, but it is the only one that has become a museum. So it took it upon itself to commemorate this operation every 5 years. The last time we had it on the Midway was 10 years ago. 5 years ago, we were spoiled by COVID. And so, the main part of this will start with the celebration of Operation Frequent Wind. And the one of the jewels of this program is Admiral Larry Chambers. He was the commanding officer of the aircraft carrier when it was active, and he is still alive, and he's still bright enough to come to us and be the keynote speaker.
Wow.
He's now 96 years old, and he retired as a 2-star admiral.
Wow.
So we want to pay tribute to his service, his sacrifice, his bravery, because during that operation, what punctuated it was that there was a plane from the Republic of South Vietnam that flew over the aircraft carrier and wanted to land, but they had no room to land. So Admiral Chambers gave the order to push some helicopters overboard in order to make room for this plane to land. This action alone could have resulted in him being court-martialed and imprisoned, but instead he was hailed as a hero for doing the right thing to save human lives. It turned out inside that plane there were 7 lives that he saved by his actions. So he sacrificed equipment for lives, and that's why we're celebrating him. Wow. So that will punctuate the end of the first part of the program. Now, the second and third part of the program will be focused on the Vietnamese American experience. We arrived here as refugees with next to nothing. And in the last 50 years, we've been able to build one of the most successful, vibrant communities of immigrants in America. And it's not just that, but our community leaders continue to serve and give back to the country that has given us so much. So we wanted to commemorate what our parents, our ancestors lost at the end of the war, but we also wanted to celebrate what has been built, starting with our parents, but continued by people of your and my generation, and continuing now with the younger generation.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's really important because, especially with the younger generation, when you're talking about 50 years of Vietnamese in the United States, the really interesting and the big portion of that is how we've become an important part of this community and how much we've given back and how successful. Thực sự đó, really how successful người Việt Nam mình, mình thấy 50 năm mà mình nghe lâu, nhưng mà thực sự 50 năm we're still babies.
Yeah.
phải
Yeah.
hông? Nếu mà mình compare với những cộng đồng khác như là người người Tàu, người Nhật, anybody, người Ý, especially you keep on going back là mấy trăm năm, mình mới có 50 năm thôi. So, thực sự người Việt mình, rất là giỏi, mình tới đây mình you know, I've heard the stories too, khi nào ba má cũng nói là hai bàn tay trắng là tại vì literally
Mhm.
mình qua Mỹ mà hông có gì hết trơn á.
Đúng rồi.
Nothing. And
Yeah.
then especially là, hồi mà like I came in 1975, okay? So I was like the that wave, and then in the 80s came the boat people, and then mỗi cái wave có trường hợp khác nhau.
Mhm.
Nhưng mà in the beginning mình không có cái like support. Thực sự mình không có cái sự support, sau này có những cái chương trình này kia.
Mhm.
Nhưng mà trước đó đâu có đâu. Nên nên rất là cực khổ chứ không có phải là, nhưng mà người Việt mình, we are smart, we're intelligent, and we're fighters, right? And
Yeah.
so I think it's really important khi mà mình nói về 50 năm đó, thực sự cái mà rất là quan trọng là mình nhìn đến những gì mà mình đã đạt được.
Đúng.
Right? Những
Yeah.
cái tốt, những cái đẹp của người Việt Nam mình ở đây, mình nên celebrate cái đó. Dĩ nhiên mình không có quên quá khứ, we have to remember where we came from. Nhưng mà I think for the young people, it's really important to focus on how far we've come, phải không? Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, the commemoration is a crucial part of the program. We have to address it at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. The commemoration of what our parents and our ancestors have lost, and it was tremendous. It was a tremendous loss. My father was a lieutenant commander in the Navy, and he had a vibrant life with my mother, and all of that collapsed.
Mhm.
But that being said, by the time we arrived here in America, we thought that it was the beginning of success. It was actually the beginning of work, more
Mm.
work, because initially we couldn't find a place that would allow for my parents to have an education and still receive support from the government. So we ended up moving across the country on the seats of a Greyhound bus, from Virginia all the way to Washington State, and then all the way down to Pasadena. And
Wow.
then we couldn't even afford to share a two-bedroom apartment with three other men. So there's 6 souls living in a two-bedroom apartment, and we couldn't afford our share of the rent. So we
Right.
had to move into a garage
Mm.
just to make ends meet. But from those humble beginnings, somehow my parents were able to encourage me to continue to work hard at school and make it into UCLA in just 4 years after we lived in that garage.
Wow.
So the leaps and bounds were actually before this time. You going to college, and having your successful career. Do you remember An Dak Nguyen, the Dallas Cowboys? He
Uh-huh.
was
Of
in the
course.
NFL by the year 2000.
Yep.
So and it's not just athletics; it's business, politics, science,
Everything.
everything,
Yes.
every aspect of American society. By the year 2000, you can find a Vietnamese American being successful in that area. And that is something to celebrate, truly.
Mhm, mhm. And then I think actually it's important to point out that we're not just all doctors, lawyers, or engineers. That we kind of branched out. We got into media. We got into entertainment. We got into things that people didn't even know that Vietnamese people were involved with. Nhưng mà cái đó là I love that about our community. I love that about người Việt Nam, and that's why I love hearing stories khi mà mình gặp. Ô, người này họ đã làm nhiều quá, quá giỏi. Khi mà mình nghe họ là người Việt Nam, tự nhiên mình cũng là tự hào, mình wish, oh, you just feel proud. And
Yeah.
so I love that. I love that part of the program as well. Now, so let me ask, La, so you went to school, and then you became a doctor. How and why did you get involved that you're doing what you are now? Like, I
Yeah.
thought you weren't in the military.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I took inspiration from my wife, actually.
Hmm.
So at the time that we were living in this town called Redlands, she had a chance to work at the Veterans Affairs hospital nearby. And in her job there, she actually was able to speak to many Korean War veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, she found out about this organization that takes our older veterans to Washington, D.C. for a tour of honor. So the reason why this organization called Honor Flight even happened was that by the time the World War II memorial was completed, majority of the World War II veterans that were still alive could not make it to their own memorial because it's
Mm-hmm.
all the way across the country. So individuals would take out their time and put in their own money to take the World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. for a tour of honor. It seems so honorable and so kind that my wife wanted us to get involved. And as with everything that she gets me involved in, she starts it and I end up throwing my entire soul into it and seem to enjoy it even more than her
Nice.
because I'm
Nice.
a history buff at heart. So I
Uh-huh.
know probably a little bit more about that part of the history of World War II. So meeting these heroes that saved us from tyranny was such an honor. And we started that in 2013. Um, Learning the stories of service makes you want to serve more. And that's how I got connected with the community on the USS Midway Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what inspires me to continue to serve in whatever capacity I can, which is why when my company, Vituity, started a nonprofit wing and started performing medical care for the homeless, I threw myself into that and have become very successful. My clinic in San Diego has been serving the homeless for 3 years, and my clinic in Santa Ana has been serving for over a year and a half.
Wonderful.
But my journey through service actually started with wanting to help our elderly World War II veterans have the last trip to the nation's capital
Mm.
and see the memorial that was built in their honor.
Wow, love it. And I think that a lot of Vietnamese are like that, where they become successful and then they give back, and that isn't something that you pick up later. I think that that is something that is taught to you at a very young age when you didn't even realize you were being taught this. So it comes from our parents, right?
Mhm.
It
Yep.
comes from our family. Why we give back? Why we give?
Yeah.
Um, right? And I think that's just so special. A lot of Vietnamese are that way, and I love seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, my family struggled so much that I had lost sight of that, and my wife's family also struggled, but their modest comfort that they were able to achieve early allowed for my mother-in-law to take in refugees from the refugee
Mhm.
camps very early. She was one of the first ones to just bring people over and just put them all into that one bedroom, that one giant bedroom with 5, 6 people, because you know that's all that's needed to extend a helping hand to help people get started in this country. She was one of the first ones, and so I think growing up in that environment,
Yep.
my wife learned directly, just as you said, from her ancestors, and thankfully I married her, and she was able to transfer that on to me, really transformed the way I look at myself, the way I look at our community, and the way I look at what is possible in terms of what you can give. Because I believe that you can give at every single level. Currently, I'm mentoring pre-medical students, medical students, as well as residents, and in medicine. And so I can tell them, I learn from them that they are trying to serve at whatever level they're at in their development as well. But I have to agree with you that it does trace back to our ancestors. We learned that very early on from our parents.
Yeah, and I think it actually helps the community stand out because compared to other communities, we are small, and yet we give back a lot, and that makes me very proud to be Vietnamese. Now there are some things that are not so great about the Vietnamese, and one of the things is sometimes um, rumors start, and then they, uh, and so I want to clear one thing up about this program, because when I mentioned about this program, someone said to me, "Oh, I heard that they were going to have some kind of officials from Vietnam over to for this event," and I said, I'm going to find out, because that was not my understanding. Nên nhưng mà người Việt mình sometimes có cái đó là maybe một người nói rồi cái truyền miệng, and then nó không phải là sự thật, nên Rina cũng muốn hỏi để make sure là cái buổi mà 27 tháng 4 đó là you do not have plans to have anyone from the Vietnamese government there, do you?
No, we do not.
Okay.
This is an event for the community of the USS Midway, who are majority Vietnam War veterans who served on the aircraft carrier, and the other half are veterans from South Vietnam Armed Forces. So the current government has no place in an event like that.
Right.
We
Okay.
are here to commemorate the loss of our country, and to celebrate Vietnamese Americans, and to pay gratitude to all the veterans of South Vietnam Armed Forces, as well as American Armed Forces that fought for our freedom. So no,
Okay.
they do not have a place in this event.
Okay, well, thank you so much for clearing that up. So, one more time, I want to remind people that there is this fundraising dinner, một buổi gây quỹ, ngày 21 tháng 3 nè. So, I'm going to be there, and a lot of other famous faces you see on the poster there will be there. And so there's the information if you would like to support that. And then one more time now, bây giờ là mình muốn là somehow để mình có những cái fund để có thể là mướn mấy chiếc xe bus để right, take mấy cô chú xuống San Diego. Nhưng mà nếu mấy cô chú đó muốn đi thì làm sao mà họ biết về cái này, làm sao mà how do they find out how they can get on one of those buses?
Okay. Well, if you go to the other flyer, the yellow flyer, and go to the Vietnamese Heritage Museum website, or scan that QR code, it will have the address. Well, there's the address right there on that flyer, and you can register through the Vietnamese Heritage Museum, and check in frequently at the website, and it'll have updates if we have updates regarding parking, as well as where to catch those buses that we will hopefully be able to hire with the contributions from the community.
Okay, well, and I hope that we make that happen. One more time, quý vị ơi, là cái buổi mà gây quỹ đó, ngày 21 tháng 3 đó nè, cái này nè. Okay, đây cái này thì ở Anaheim, ở Golden Sea Restaurant nè, quý vị nhớ để lấy những cái thông tin này ha, để nếu mà quý vị rảnh mình đi mình ủng hộ. Trước hết là tối đó là có ca hát, phải không? Ca nhạc và một buổi so it's dinner, right? Dinner and music as well. Yes. Yeah, and then it's a fundraiser. Mặc dù quý vị đi cái event ở San Diego được hay không, nhưng mà nếu mà quý vị có một chút thời gian mình support được thì mình cũng nên support, để cho mấy cô chú, mấy bác có thể là không có phương tiện để xuống San Diego để dự cái event rất là quan trọng, rất là đặc biệt như vậy. Thì please come and support so that we can get on these buses and bring these people down there so that they can experience this, so they can be a part of something that's like really special and important. So one more time, đó là ngày 21 tháng 3 nha. And so where do they vé đây nè, liên lạc đây. Okay, như vậy là I will also put that on my YouTube as well, so that people know how
Great,
they can do that. And then can I ask you, because this is actually really interesting to me, and what I'd like to know more about is cái mà the medical clinics for the homeless and the volunteer work that you do. Can you just tell me a little more about what that is that you do? Because I love that.
Yeah. So the homeless problem in America, unfortunately, is getting worse, not better. As the cost of everything rises, and sometimes wages can't keep up. So there's a population, that becomes homeless. There's also a large population that has mental illness, and or drug abuse. The mentally ill homeless population is probably one of the hardest population to take care of. They don't access medical care. They don't access social services uh, until things are at a crisis point. So what we have decided as an organization at Vituity is to establish a nonprofit wing and go into these communities and provide care where they are. So basically meet people where they are,
Oh.
whether they're mentally ill, homeless, in a shelter. In this case, in Santa Ana, they are in a shelter, but they still don't have their own home and they still don't have good, consistent medical care. So we go there and we provide them a monthly clinic that they can count on.
And
So
then,
yeah, go
can I
ahead.
ask you, because I've seen it, and because I don't live down there, but I've seen it when I've been down there, and I hear about it, and I'm not sure that Vietnamese living elsewhere realize that there is a homeless problem within our Vietnamese community. But like I don't really know. I just assume because I see. Nhưng mà in the Vietnamese community, is homelessness a problem?
It is.
Mm.
And again, it is majority of people with mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
because mental illness is not is underdiagnosed and undertreated in Vietnamese communities. They end up in shelters or on the streets. If you drive around certain sections of Orange County, you can see the
Yeah.
Vietnamese homeless. And at the shelter in Santa Ana, I do have a few Vietnamese homeless
Mm-hmm.
patients
Mm-hmm.
that see me on a regular basis now at my medical clinic.
Yeah.
So at the clinics, we perform medical screening, which means we check your vital signs, we check your wounds, we listen to your symptoms, and if you need some medication, we actually will give you medication.
Mm-hmm.
I have brought medication to my clinics, and then I partnered up with an organization, a local organization, to give free haircuts because
Oh, I love that.
a fresh haircut is healthcare, believe it or not.
Ah.
People don't think about haircuts as healthcare, but it is. If you can imagine, if you haven't had a haircut for months, or sometimes a year or two, a
Mm.
fresh haircut does a lot to a person's spirit and
Yeah.
overall health. So we give them a fresh haircut. And we bring donated clothing from various community partners. And I've been doing that for 3 years now in San Diego and a year and a half in Santa Ana.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. When we were talking about this giving spirit that Vietnamese have, do you find that like more and more these days, rather than when you and I were young, and I know we're both still very young, but when we were really young,
Mhm.
um, the young people of today are much more aware of the need to give back, much more aware of how they can give back, right? So, do you find that like more people are getting involved at a younger age in
Yeah,
volunteerism?
yeah. I think it's a cycle that feeds into itself, because we, as successful professionals, are giving back more. Um, that is more visible to our young people, and so our young people are seeing the giving back service as a part of the journey into success. In order to achieve that level of success, you need to give all along the way. Not all of them think that way, but we just need enough, right?
Mhm,
Enough
mhm.
people to think that way. And so the young people that I have coming to me as young as juniors in high school to a homeless clinic, they see this as part of their journey into success. And I applaud that, and I nurture that, and I try to grow that into adults that will continue to serve their communities wherever they go.
Good, that's great. And then are people able to support you in this effort, or if how can they find out more?
Yeah, absolutely. They can contact me for the Santa Ana and the San Diego clinic. We actually have these clinics all around the country. And you can find out about them at our central website, vitalitycares.org.
Can
And
you actually spell that out for me?
yep, it's VITUITYCARES.org.
Okay, very good, and people can get involved. Okay, one more time, I want to just remind people of this fundraiser that we have on March 21st. So it's a Friday night in Anaheim at the Golden Sea Restaurant. So for your ticket price, and người Việt Nam mình á, có cái nha. Sometimes when I go to fundraisers for người Mỹ á, cái giá nó rất là cao, cái ticket price nó rất là cao, and I mean very cao. Còn người mình á, our fundraisers are very actually affordable. Nó rất là affordable nha. And trong đó là có dinner, and then you've got entertainment. And so I think it's a great way actually for the community to feel a part, that you can play a part in this and take part in what is sure to be an amazing event on the 27th of April. Nên nếu mà quý vị, mặc dù quý vị không có đi San Diego được, nhưng mà quý vị muốn là giúp một bàn tay, thì nên đến đây ngày 21 tháng 3, okay, từ 6 giờ đến 11 giờ tối. Dinner and music for that fundraiser. And then cái ngày của event là April 27th, đó là ngày Chủ nhật, từ 10 giờ sáng đến 3 giờ chiều. Và vì sao mà có một buổi gây quỹ là tại vì ban tổ chức muốn là mướn mấy cái xe bus để chở những cô chú, những bác muốn là tham dự, nhưng mà mình không có tự lái xe được, hoặc là mình không có phương tiện xuống đó. And I think that would be wonderful. Nên đây là một cái món quà mà mình có thể cho một món quà cho mấy cô chú. So that would be amazing. And I'm going to be down there. I can't wait to see all the different people who've come together for this special event. Dr. Fale is going to be there. Of course, your family's going to be there, right?
Absolutely. And my I can't wait to have my father and mother get on the midway too. They haven't been there since I've been on the board of directors. So
wow,
I'm looking forward to having them meet the community down there too.
Awesome. Great, great, great. And there is the information on the screen. Nếu mà quý vị muốn, okay, put that down on your calendar. Đi được thì đi cho vui. Nếu đi không được thì mình cũng ủng hộ để mình like, just everyone a little bit. Now, if you look at how many Vietnamese people are in America, nếu mà một người mà cho $1 thôi cũng đã là quá trời rồi. So any bit will help if you're able to do this. I'm very much looking forward to it. Dr. Fale, thank you for all that you do. It's really, really inspiring. And I can't wait to meet you in person. Are you going to be at the dinner?
I will be. Okay. I would try to thread the needle. As you can imagine, I'm still a working ER doctor. So
yes.
I actually am working that day, but I will end my shift and come and attend the dinner. And
wow. That's right. So all of this, and I forgot. Oh yeah, he's also a doctor. Rất là bận rộn, nhưng mà mấy người mà thành công là họ như vậy nha, là khi nào cũng bận rộn, nhưng mà những cái điều mà họ thích làm và đáng làm, they will make time for it. So thank you for all that. And so one more time, Lina sẽ để lên cái màn ảnh để quý vị thấy. Okay, so we want to see you here on the 27th of April. But before we can get there, we have a nice fundraiser that'll help in the event. Again, that is on March 21st from 6 to 11 p.m. in Anaheim. So the fundraiser is in Anaheim. And again, we're trying to be able to rent some buses so that we can bus as many people as we can fit on there down to San Diego to be a part of this event. So we hope to see you there. One more time, Dr. Fale, thank you for all of that. And I guess we will see you in Anaheim first on the 31st, right?
Yep. And then on the USS Midway Museum.
Yes. Very good.
In April.
I can't wait. And so, okay, cảm ơn quý vị. Quý vị nhớ nha, là nếu mà quý vị mà hold on, I'm going to turn on some music here. Nếu mà quý vị đi được, I would love to see you. I know he would like to see you. And but if you can't make it, maybe you can just make the fundraiser dinner. So if I don't see you in San Diego, I'll see you in Anaheim. I'll see you at the fundraiser in Anaheim. And very much looking forward. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lena. Thanks for this opportunity to tell a story and to tell our communities about this event.
It's going to be important. It's going to be fun.